Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 60 of the Cleveland Spiders franchise here in MLB The Show 21. Now our Cleveland Spiders have wrapped up the first month of the season, so we're going to go take back and look at the month of April to see how our Spiders did, how they stack up against the rest of the league, take a look at around the league, and see some player stats to see how our Spiders are doing. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. So this is a live comm, so I'll just be kind of talking to you guys as I go. And as you can see, the Spiders, they finished the month of April and first 2 days of May, technically, 16-7. We had a lot of wins. Now we have lost 3 straight to end. So we were actually 16-4, but we are 16-7. Had a very solid April. Our AAA team, if you're curious, the Columbus Clippers, they are also sitting at 11-8, so a solid start for our minor league affiliates. And then the AA Akron Rubber Ducks have not started their season yet. We'll actually see them momentarily as they start in about a week. So, not a bad start. We're actually the best team in the American League. So I'll go ahead real quickly and take a look at the standings. Starting off in the East, the Yankees, they are the winners, or the leaders of the AL East. Not surprising, but what is surprising is they're only 13-11. The AL East has very underwhelmed this year. The Rays are 12-11, a half game back, and the Red Sox 11-12, followed by the Orioles and the Blue Jays. In the Central, there is us. We have a 4-game lead over 3 12-win teams: the White Sox, the Twins, and the Tigers. And there's the Royals, who are 8-16. In the West, the Mariners surprisingly lead that division, 14-10. The Angels are just a game behind, 13-11. The Astros, the defending American League champions, they're 12-13, off to a slow start. The Athletics are 11-13, and the Rangers are 8-15. As far as the wild card, there is a bunch of jumble, so we're not really going to go too much into it. In the National League, the best team in baseball, the Phillies, are off to a 21-2 start. That is incredible. And they're only a 3.5 game lead because the Mets are 18-6, so their off-season signings are paying dividends. And the Braves are 15-9, so really top-heavy in the NL East. But then you have the 8-15 Nationals and the worst team in baseball, the 3-20 Miami Marlins. In the Central, the Cubs lead that division 13-10, followed by the Cardinals, who are 12-11, so looking for a bounce-back season out there in St. Louis. The Reds, who made it to the NLCS just a season ago, are 11-12. The Brewers 9-14, and the Pirates are 5-18. And then last in the West, the two-time defending World Series champion Dodgers are 18-7, followed by the Diamondbacks, who are actually in second, 13-10, followed by the Giants, 12-11, and the Padres are 11-13, a slow start for San Diego, and the Rockies are 8-16. Now we'll go ahead and look at the players of the month before I forget, because this always seems to be the spot where I forget. In the American League, the pitcher of the month goes to Aaron Civale of the Cleveland Spiders. That's good to see. He went perfect 3-0 in 4 starts with a 1 ERA and 27 strikeouts in that span. Mike Trout of the Angels gets player of the month. He has played impeccable, 6 home runs and a plus 400 average. And then Juan Sandoval of Chicago, the White Sox, second round pick just a season ago, hitting .375 and 6 RBIs in his first month in the majors. For the National League, it is Trevor Bauer of the Dodgers, who got a .23 ERA through 5 starts. That is absolutely insane. Ronald Acuna Jr., 8 home runs in April. And then Justin Bauer of the Giants, hitting over .385, leads the rookies out in the National League. Now, the big story for us in April is we're off to a really solid start, but we lost a couple of players to injury. Franmil Reyes fractured his leg after the very first series against the White Sox in opening, and Shane Bieber is out for the season. So these are the 2 injuries that are going to really be the storyline for us. No more Bieber this year. No more 2-time Cy Young MVP, who has had a crazy past 2 years. It came to a screeching halt. We have to replace him. We have called up Ethan Hankins, who had a very good MLB debut. Hopefully he can keep it up, though, but it's almost impossible to, replace Bieber's production. I think we've done a decent job replacing Franmil Reyes' power bat, as last year he hit 37 homers, but that's going to be more of a team effort, and hopefully Trevor Bauer's off to a solid start in his call-up. We also lose Ben Gamble, so that's some outfield depth, and then Sam Hentges is also out for the shoulder separation in AAA. Now we'll go to player stats, which will just be where we spend the rest of the episode, see where we currently stand as a team so far, start the season. We'll kind of divide it up by position. So I'll start with our catchers, which on offense is never really going to be pretty. Austin Hedges, who off to a pretty decent start, is back down to where Austin Hedges hits, and that's sub 200. And then Roberto Perez is hitting 138, and if you remember, we signed him to a 1-year, $12.5 million contract in the offseason. I really didn't want to replace catcher. I really didn't want to pay Roberto Perez that, but I thought for 1 year of work. And offensively, it is not working out. He's still a phenomenal defensive catcher, but we're not going to get anything out of the catcher spot. And they've kind of swapped their catchers. Like sometimes Hedges will play, then it's Perez for a while. Can't build any consistency offensively there. At first base, it has been Josh Naylor, who's also out to a cold streak. Actually, he's not at a cold streak, but you'll notice a lot of cold streaks in our offense. He's hitting 230, 4 homers, 11 RBIs, not quite where he was last year to start. Hopefully he does pick it up. If you watched last episode, we actually highlighted Bobby Bradley, our first base prospect, who had a 2 home run episode. So go ahead and check that out. I'll put it at the end of this video, but maybe he's our first baseman of the future. Second base, we have Donovan Solano. He has been the opposite. He has been on fire, hitting 377. The former San Francisco Giant has done exactly what we signed him to do, and that's hit for high average. I mean, you can't hit higher than 377 almost. And he's already had 3 game-winning hits to start the month of April. So a phenomenal signing of Donovan Solano. Third base, Jose Ramirez has gone to a very slow start, especially with Franmil Reyes out. I expected Jose Ramirez to really step up and be that power bat, but he missed the month of September in our playoff push last year, and maybe he's just having a hard time getting back into the swing of things. He's hit 3 homers, 211 average, not what we expected of Jose Ramirez, but I think as the season goes along, Jose Ramirez will get back to his form. Our shortstop is Andres Jimenez, who has stepped up in the replace of Reyes big time, hitting over 320 with 4 homers and 10 RBIs. He had 22 homers last year. I thought that might be a fluke if you look at his power, only in the 54s. But he's showing that might not be a fluke. Maybe Andres Jimenez has some very sleeper power. He's actually hitting for a higher slugging this year to start. So he's been very awesome. You thought Ahmed Rosario was going to be the lead piece in that Francisco Lindor trade, but don't forget about Jimenez. He is really, at age 23 nonetheless, he has solidified himself as a blossoming young shortstop. In left field, there's Eddie Rosario this year. He's gotten off to a slow start. We re-signed him in the offseason. Only hit 211 with 3 home runs. Had a great year last year, struggled in the postseason. Hopefully we don't get postseason Eddie and we get regular season Eddie. So we're hoping he can step up as well. Center fielder Ahmed Rosario is hitting 207. That's actually good for him considering he was hitting under 200 for most of the month of April. So hopefully he has been our leadoff hitter for almost the entire series. Hits great against lefties. I don't want to put him in that platoon role, but hopefully he can get that contact versus righties up. And then in right field to replace, Reyes has been our DH, but we've been doing a platoon. Half of that platoon is Adam Eaton, who's been hitting 242. It's had a very rough last week as that average was closer to the 290s, but he hits against righties, and he's done pretty solid. And then against lefties, we do Jordan Luplow, who is hitting 194. Last episode we watched, he was in sub 100 territory, so at least he's on the right track there. But coming off of a 24 home run season, he's only a platoon now. I don't expect those same numbers, but I expect his slugging to be higher than .419 considering how good he hits against lefties. The DH has kind of been a revolving door, but the guy who's kind of stepped up in Reyes' absence has been Yu Chang. He's only hitting 172. He did have a game winner just a few series ago with 2 home runs. He's actually in the top half, like top 3 in our team with 8 RBIs to start, so he comes up clutch when he needs to be. I'd like to see Yu Chang be more consistent where he was last year before he went out last year with an injury as well. On the bench, we kind of roll with Owen Miller, who's been a solid staple middle infield backup for 2 seasons. And then we have Zimmer in the outfield. I'd like to see Bradley Zimmer get some more playing time in the outfield. He's played really well in our postseason run last year, and I think he's deserved more than 9 at-bats to start the season. We just have a logjam in the outfield, so hopefully Bradley Zimmer can get more reps. And then Jake Bauers, who we called up last episode, we saw him hit that home run in his very first at-bat, and that was fun to see. So hopefully we get to see some more of that from Jake Bauers. On the pitching side of things, we got to obviously replace Shane Bieber, and Aaron Savali has really stepped up. Now, I've said for a long time Savali would be an ace on any team, but since we have Bieber, he's not. And since we don't have Bieber, he's got to be our ace, and I think he's done a phenomenal job of that. April's pitcher of the month for a reason. Tristan McKenzie had a not so good 2021. He's down to a 332. That is good for his standards. Still only 24 years old, so I'm happy with his progress. I've been very patient with McKenzie this series. He's never spent any time in AAA, and hopefully McKenzie can just continue to settle down, continue to be a solid pitcher at the back end of a rotation. Logan Allen, who had a very good 2021. I wasn't sold on him to start the series. He sold me after last year with a 3.12 ERA, and maybe it's a fluke as he's up to a 5.93 this year. I probably would consider sending Logan Allen down to AAA, but we just don't have much starting pitcher depth. So hopefully Logan Allen can kind of work through his cold slump. Other starting pitchers, Zach Plesac, who's got a 3.77 ERA. That's a little high for him. I like to see him get... He's got a good whip, but I think he's just had a hard time with the long ball. Let's take a look at his home runs per 9. Because if you have almost a 1 whip, yeah, it's a little high with 116. You'd hope that ERA would be a little lower. But Plesac is now the number 2. I think he's capable of it. And then Ethan Hankins, who we saw in his MLB debut, pitched very well. 8 strikeouts in 5 innings. This is the guy to watch. He has been trusted with the 5 spot. We'll see it is his for the taking. And we'll see if Ethan Hankins can do that continuing in the month of May. In the bullpen, the leading bullpen in terms of innings worked, we'll do it by innings worked, is Nick Whitgren. He's gone 18 innings, has yet to give up an earned run. He has been phenomenal in the middle relief, 19 strikeouts in that span. Phil Maton, the former Angel who we signed to a 1-year deal to be our lefty out of the pen, he's done very well as well. 2.92 ERA. I haven't really seen any decline yet. Well, actually, no, I'm thinking of Tony Watson. Excuse me, Phil Maton, who at 6.53 ERA last year, is now at 2.92 this year. That's a good transition. Then there's Tony Watson. Remember, this is a live comment. I won't edit any of that out as well. You'll see my mistakes. But the former Angel, yes, Tony Watson, who has been 9 games, has yet to give up an earned run as well. That's what you like to see. Emmanuel Clase, who missed most of last year. Remember, he got hurt last May, and he has come back this year. I expected him to be a really good ace, or not really good ace, really good ace out of the bullpen, I would say, our go-to bullpen arm. And he struggled, 491. Hasn't quite hit the same speed and control he had before he got hurt. Hopefully he can find that. Jordan Hicks, who ended up being our go-to reliever last year. I need to slow down. 1.13 ERA. So far this year, he's continuing to pitch well. Sky Alexander, another lefty. Only 6 innings, 3 earned runs. He is our lefty setup man. Like to see that ERA go down a little bit, but with only 6 innings, that's a small sample size. Then James Karinchak, our all-star closer, has 8 saves to start the year, but a 5.19 ERA. So very odd stats. That shows that we're winning games by more than 2 and 3 runs. So at least if he does surrender a run, he doesn't necessarily blow the save. So that's good, but I'd like to see our closer obviously not be above 500. So that'll do it for most of this episode. The Spiders off to a solid start. Next episode, we will have a 3-game road trip against the Minnesota Twins for the first time. And then we'll go to Fenway to see the Boston Red Sox. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.